Triple Threat is a martial arts film released this year whose main selling point is that they've managed to nab the talents of multiple action stars of the current age and put them all in the same film. Some of the standouts are the likes of Iko Uwais of the Raid fame, Tony Jaa, whose popularity boomed with Ong Bak, and others like Tiger Hoon Chen, Scott Adkins, and Black Dynamite himself, Michael Jai White. I didn't have high hopes for Triple Threat. The trailer looked mediocre and gave the film a cheap look, and the fact that there was no release information for so many months despite the film being completed is never a good sign. It seemed like quite simply an excuse to make a quick buck by sticking together a lot of stars that audiences want to see together, the Expendables style. And that's pretty much what the film is. It's very dire, there's not much to love, and it isn't made with much creativity or control of the craft. The story is a bit weird. Of course, with films like this, it's always an excuse just to get some fight scenes going so you don't worry too much about the plot. But even then, there's a lot of ways the story could have been better. In the film, most of the cast, including Tony Jaa, Tiger Hoon Chen, and Michael Jai White, are part of a special task force which travel to some remote village to help a captured Scott Adkins escape. After this is achieved, they lock up all the villagers and leave them with a time bomb. It's not made too clear who exactly the villagers are, but there are numerous innocents among them. Iko Uwais is one of the villagers, and he just happens to possess the ability to kick ass, so he goes after the team, goes after them for revenge for the murdered villagers. It turns out that Tony Jaa and Tiger Hoon Chen, despite being part of the team that carried out the initial attack, were duped into thinking they were part of a humanitarian mission and are against killing the villagers, and for this, they are betrayed by Adkins, White and co. and also left for dead. They too go after Adkins and his crew for revenge and have something of a team up with Uwais. Uwais, who in a really contrived and overcomplicated way seems to be playing all sides against each other until he achieves his goal. Meanwhile, Adkins and his team are given a new job of killing a billionaire's daughter who is attempting to take down a major crime syndicate. It's not a very interesting story. It feels like a weak attempt to try and get all these stars in the same plot and have them all face off against each other. As I mentioned, there are much more streamlined ways of doing this. It doesn't help either that there's a missed opportunity in that because of the way the story develops, aside from a 30-second skirmish, the fight that you'd think everyone wants to see, Iko Uwais versus Tony Jaa, often touted as the modern day Jackie Chan and Jet Li, never even happens. I found it quite unfortunate that for the most part all the actors are speaking English, and you can really see some of the Asian actors struggling with their lines. I don't know why they didn't just let the actors deliver their lines in their natural language so that they could focus on their acting as opposed to speaking English properly. The people that are going to want to watch this movie are people who have already seen films like The Raid and Ong Bak, so it's not as if you're going to turn off audiences by having foreign languages accompanied with subtitles. And most of the acting is weak anyway. I enjoyed Michael Jai White, he was the most charismatic of the bunch, and Iko Uwais had some strong scenes when he, for example, mourns the villagers. But overall, there was a lot of cringeworthy, forced sense of camaraderie or scenes where actors attempt to look badass and cool but come off as a bit goofy. Adkins, for example, had a permanent look stuck on his face where it looks like he's always smiling but viciously angrily at the same time. The action itself, the stuff we came to see, is a mixed bag. First of all, it has to be said that as the story and characters aren't very interesting, we don't have many reasons to be invested in the fight scenes and to actually care about any of the characters, so there's an instant disadvantage there. But there is some enjoyment to be gained from the fight scenes. The skills from the martial artists is clear and there are some good hand-to-hand combat fights in the film. The fights are pretty much isolated into 1v1 spread throughout the film, ranging in quality. Some of them have great moves and stimulating crunching sound effects of punches and kicks connecting. Some of the fights were also between actors who are mismatched in size, like Iko Uwais and Michael Jai White, which made for interesting viewing. You can't help but feel though, everyone involved in the fights has produced better and more memorable action scenes in the past. And to see them all together in fights that are just okay or at best good is kind of underwhelming. After all, when you think about it, this film would be completely buried and lost in the straight-to-video movie abyss if it wasn't for the cast. There's quite a bit of gunplay in the movie, which was uneven. Some of it wasn't bad. I think I spotted a few squibs going off, and there were a few scenes where I thought, you know what, this is good stuff. The sound effects for the guns firing and making contact with walls and glass and people were great. They looked real and everything. Other times though, there was a lot of very noticeably fake CGI blood being let loose, and the guns sounded like they'd used some stock open source sound off the internet. Triple Threat is a film that you want to appreciate for the mere fact of who's in it, but at the end of the day, there are a lot better martial arts films out there. I give this one a 5 out of 10.